Welcome back to Engine Killer. My name is Hank, and this week I'll be painting my perimeter wall for Legions Imperialis. Last week we ended off with adding white primer to all of the wall pieces. So this week we start off by spraying all of the walls with gray primer. And this is just gray Rust-Oleum primer. I'm also doing a little bit of a different format this time around. I noticed that my previous videos were tended to drag out a little bit, and I think that's because I was trying to do all 4 wall pieces in one video. So with this video, for the most part, what I'm going to do here is try to speed things up a little bit by just focusing on painting one wall piece at a time. I've got quite a bit to cover here. After priming all the walls, I've got a lot that I need to cover with black wash. Something like Nuln Oil, which I probably, in retrospect, should have just made myself. But I'd seen this product and I had wanted to try it out for a long time and never had. I figured this was probably the best time to do that. So I went ahead and I bought a whole can of the Army Painter dip. It didn't quite turn out like I was expecting. I think I was kind of expecting more of a wash, kind of like the washes that they sell in the smaller paint bottles, but it ended up being more of a varnish. Yeah, it was really interesting. It has a very strong odor and it's very hard to wash off your hands. This Army Painter varnish also takes a really long time to dry. I had to leave it out overnight. It's supposed to take 24 hours, but it seemed like when I checked it in the morning, like it was pretty much ready to go. But I still didn't end up having a chance to work on it until after work that evening. So as you can see here, I don't really have a designated area for painting miniatures at the moment. I used to have a nice desk set up in the back room, but we made some changes back there, and I've since switched over to using this Monument Hobbies paint case. It holds about half of my paints, well, maybe a third of my paints, but it's nice because I can just kind of set it up, my paint station, pretty much wherever I want, or take it with me to the game store or to work. Now that the Army Painter dip is all completely dried, the next step is an all-over gray dry brush. I think this is just a Games Workshop or Citadel Administratum gray. And for this part, I use a pretty heavy dry brush. Next, I painted on a pretty heavy layer of, I guess it's just like a sort of bone white or screaming skull. I can't remember the exact name for this paint. I think this is the Army Painter version of that. It's basically any kind of just a sort of a really light bone or cream color will work. And at this point, I'm not really not being too careful. Just trying to make sure that all of the floor tiles along the rooftops are completely covered. Now here you can see I'm just dry brushing some more of the Administratum gray onto the gate that I had built. Still not super happy with it. I've definitely decided that I'm going to build something else for the gate. I also wanted to include this part here where I'm dry brushing the sides, the pillars that go along the outsides of the gate, because I didn't really show a lot of the gate being worked on during the other build videos. So at least you can see it a little bit more here. You can see here that I added some small guns to the front. I think I need to make some little plastic guard housings for those eventually. And I've also added some of the larger Civitas bits kind of upside down underneath the overhangs on the back side of the pillars. For the two walls closest to the gate, I had put these little, I guess there's some kind of like a vent that comes with the Manufactorum kit. They wanted to paint the inside of those to kind of look like they're kind of sort of glowing with a bright green. And then here I'm using the Army Painter Soft Tone. And really pretty generously just all over the top of the rooftops, and I'm just putting the paint directly onto it and then just kind of using my brush to work it into all the recesses. Once I feel like I've got pretty good coverage, I did go back in with a paper towel and kind of wipe away some of the broader areas. On this one, I actually ended up using a little bit too much, and I had to transfer some of that paint over to another wall. At this point, I decided to add some gold trim to the bits that I'd glued onto my gate. For the gold paint that I use are the Scale 75 Metallics. Here I'm painting some bolt gun metal onto the, I think this is the undercarriage of a Rhino tank that I've glued onto the front of my gate. And then I'm just adding some bolt gun metal to some of the piping on the back of the wall. Now here, I've already started adding some streaking and some grime coming down from with the piping. I'll go a bit more into this later on, but I actually use a few different colors for streaking on all of the walls, both on the backs and fronts of the walls. Actually, I had to wait for the washes to dry on the tops of the walls so that I could dry brush them. So while that was drying, I decided to go ahead and start adding some streaking and grime. For the streaks, I actually use a few different colors. I do some with Agrax Earthshade, And I do some others with Militarum Green and Argor Raid Shade. I think this one actually looks really cool. It's very different from most of the other shades and washes. I also sometimes will use a little bit of Corellia Green Shade as well. Once all the washes were dry on the tops of the walls, I went back in with a pretty heavy dry brush, using the exact same bone, that white color that I'd used before. Still got quite a bit to do. I still need to finish painting all of the details on the tops of the walls, as well as the gold trim on the front and adding some lights and things like that, and decals. So we'll get into that next week. Cheers.